So, Cahill, one of the things that, so I met you a long time ago just hanging out in Durham when I first moved to the Carolinas. And this was around the time of the North Carolina Renaissance of hip hop. So for those who don't know, there was a renaissance in hip hop that came along. And it happened in North Carolina. It was in the Triangle area. So it wasn't just Little Brother. It was Little Brother. It was this man right here. It was the Away Team. It was some random guy on a message board called The Lawn. If anybody remembers The Lawn, called J. Cole. All of those folks happened at the same time. And this man here is one of those integral parts because he's one of the first people to have records pressed, to do his own thing, be an MC producer in the Carolinas that broke out in that mold. And I was blessed. I don't like talking about myself, but I was really proud of that moment when I got the intro to your mixtape and I got to produce that. And that, I mean, I'm tearing up right now because I listened to it the other day. I'm like, man, you really killed that shit. Like you painted on top of the canvas. So I want you to tell a little bit about your start in music, what got you interested in music, and some of your influences, and just kind of take us on a quick timeline before we get to the weird, fucked up questions.
Okay, cool.
All right.
I'm gonna try to sum it up the best way I can, y'all. Like I said, I'm from a small town called Wilson, North Carolina. My influences was Big Daddy Kane, Rakim, MC Light. Those are my influences. That's when I heard Kane rhyme, like that's when I wanted to rhyme. When I seen House Party, I seen how much fun Kid and Play was having. The kids, my fellas that I used to walk from school with, we used to try to imitate that and whatnot until it just got serious one day. Being in North Carolina, I never thought that I would be able to meet some of the greats or whatever. It was a local crew in my hometown called Black Radio. They put out a demo, and when I rhyming over all the 45 King beats, you know what I'm saying? You remember the instrumental he put out? Yeah, but he had a whole instrumental album.
The whole joint.
And I thought it was their beats. And they made a whole incredibly dope demo, over the 45 King beats. And I was like, wow, if they could do that, then I could do that. So every Christmas, I have mom buy like a track machine or the Yamaha. Y'all remember the Yamaha 4-pad drum machine that you play with the sticks? That's how I was making beats back in the day. You know what I'm saying? But fast forward, I went to school at North Carolina A&T or whatever.
Any Aggies in the house?
And when that man over there, but I'm gonna get to him in just a minute.
We bring it up day.
Yeah, I'm trying to really wrap it up. But when I moved up there, when I went to school, when you go to college, you meeting people from around the world or whatever. I went to school with this rap group called the Jerks. They used to walk around in Chinese hats. You remember that? The Chinese hats or whatever? Today you know them as Tanya Morgan. You know what I'm saying? I went to school with those guys. Ski Beats was like really doing his thing back then. Dead Presidents was out, Camp Low was out, and I found out he was from Greensboro. Right. So all of this stuff started becoming a reality for me. Then around the same time, this rapper named Omniscience got Rhyme of the Month in the Source. He was from North Carolina. You know what I'm saying? And then Dana Lucci was this big producer from the area. Then you had Fanatic that had just produced Crush on Me for Lil' Kim. So, and then the first week I got to school, we walking on the strip. Is that what they called it? The strip. And I just seen Dreads from Black Sheep sitting there selling his demo tapes.
And hollering.
Right, just like
curly hair, motherfucker.
No, he was chilling. He was chilling. You gotta remember now, it was 1995, so that Flavor of the Month Choice Is Yours was still buzzing heavily. He didn't have to holler. They was hollering to him. You know what I'm saying? So, but just seeing all of that happen around me, it really just became a reality that maybe I could, make a little noise down here, but still didn't have any thoughts of meeting any of my heroes or whatever. So fast forward, I just started recording music with cats at college, cats from back home and whatnot, putting out little demos and stuff. I ended up doing this compilation called The Banquet because I wanted to be the producer. I never wanted to be the rapper or anything like that, the artist. I wanted to be the producer because I was influenced by Marley Marl and Herbie Lovewell, Azor, RZA, seeing how they sat back and just orchestrated their crews and their groups. Dr. Dre. I always wanted to be that cat that sat at the back. But you know, I had another vision of how I wanted my music put out, so I started rhyming myself. And I put together this compilation called The Banquet that caught a little fire in the Raleigh-Durham area or whatever. And my man L.E.G.A.C.Y, he was on that same demo.
Who knows Legacy? Yes.
Right? So
one of the best albums.
really trying to bring it in and wrap it up. So L.E.G.A.C.Y was like, look man, I just moved to Raleigh. I got this crew that I want you to put on my show. I never heard the crew or anything. L.E.G.A.C.Y was just my man, just my friend or whatever. So I was like, you know what? I know you don't roll with any whack dudes or whatever, so I'm gonna take a risk. That was the night I met the Justice League. You know, back then, you know, being from North Carolina.
But before,
Okay.
does everybody know who the Justice League is? Okay, I just want to make sure. Anybody not know who they are, you can raise your hand and we can explain it. All right, we got a couple people. We want everyone to know.
Yeah, I'm rolling, man.
All right.
Not trying to name drop, just telling y'all, you know, important parts of the timeline. So, yeah, that night, man, I met the Justice League and whatnot. And, you know, back then, while I was producing, you know, being from North Carolina, we didn't have our own identity, especially being in college. You got cats from down south, you got cats from up north, so it's a whole melting pot of sounds. So you trying to, you know, without having that guidance, you trying to sound like whoever's hot. I was doing my best Swiss Beats impressions then, you know what I'm saying? My best Timberland impressions then. I was dope, but that's what I was doing. But I really love hip hop. But you know, all my friends, they was calling me old school. You know, they said I sound like Curtis Blow and all that stuff. And you know, I used to take offense to it, but I found out later that they was calling me that for lack of a better term, because I sound like somebody that was already out there. I have a voice that's so prominent that I sounded like I reminded them of somebody, and the closest thing that they could figure out was, you know, Curtis Blow or whatever, you know. But long story short, at home, that's what they called me. But when I got to school and rhyme, it's like, ah, you know what I'm saying? And you know, not saying that I'm a crazy lyrical miracle MC, but you know, people appreciated what I had to bring to the table. That's why you always got to leave, you know, from areas that's familiar to you, because the more familiar you are to people, the more they take you for granted. But yeah, man, fast forward a little bit, you know, it was around the time where I was having my first child with this beautiful lady right here, my wife, LaToya. Say hey, LaToya. Everybody say hey, LaToya. Hey, LaToya. Yeah, me being in my 20s, about to have my first child, being from North Carolina, not really seeing, you know, this rap thing going anywhere, whatever. I'm like, okay, after I have my kid, like, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it on up. But it just goes to show that God owns your clock. You don't own your clock, because around that same time, I think it was the same, within 3 months, this record label named called Neblina picked me up. David Jeffries over there, man. David Jeffries.
Jay Jeffries?
Yeah.
Right there.
He's one of the co-founders of the label. They just took a chance on me and put my first 12-inch out. Around that same time, Ninth Wonder, he picked me up for Dream Merchant Volume 1. If y'all ever heard the project,
He's on there.
yeah, I'm the first track up there, matter of fact. When it comes on, except my name is Kevin H. Ill. I was still trying to find my name or whatever. I did a joint called Letter to Sick Ill, you know, dedicated to one of my friends that had just got murdered like the year before. That happened around the same time, and then my man Kazi, he got me my first placement as a producer, you know, with Nature. He did a song with Nature from The Firm. And one of my bucket list goals was always to record a song with Nas, so that was like super for me. All of this stuff happened within the same.
Sorry that it ended on some social stuff. I can't forgive myself tonight for not picking up the phone, looking at the caller ID. Like I wasn't home, it wasn't personal. I had to format and rebuild. Spend some time with my fam and forget my peers. The biggest lesson that you ever taught me was to cherish my people. While this one is dedicated to all my peers that running. This is the ones for the naysayers and students. Slick opportunities, studying my movements. The squads in my business, they in my business. My mind is telling me these dudes is pretending. They getting close to me with pipe dreams close to me, but I'ma stay one step ahead. Gotta keep my breath ahead. Gotta say what's up into the ones who try to run up. And
What you got? Man, listen, you might have never heard this, man. Like, this is one of my top joints. It's really short, man, but the beat is so dope, man. I can't remember the producer's name. But
No.
I just really want you to hear this, man.
No, I'm incognito. No one knows I do that shit.
Oh my God, dude. This cat named Jah Freedom produced this one, y'all. Right. Check this joint out, man. Look at that, my DJ self. My DJ self messing this up. On my first official solo release, like Jah produced the intro for it. It's called Stamps of Approval, because it was a mixtape where I had a couple of collabs up there, and looking for a cosign and whatnot. I just called the joint Stamps of Approval. So Jah produced this one, man. Give it up for Jah, man. He's so dope, man.
My mama makes all my beats and writes all my shit.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Stamps of Approval project. It's been a long time coming, but I'm finally here. And this is for my wide awake people. Rock on. To my INC niggas. Rock on. To the whole Hill family. Rock on. And everybody waiting for this. Rock on. And I'm not. Yo, Jah Freedom, you're gonna be the greatest one day, kid. Look here. That's why I'm putting family first. Before you got me out inside in a hearse. When you cry, make my shoulder squish your thirst. You let them building your work. You wanna put in your skirt. From the womb to the dirt. From the beam to the building, I'm up holding your name. And ever since we left, the whole hood been changed. And them kids that used to look up no longer have dreams. They figure since we ain't blown, they probably can't. And I can show them otherwise, but I probably ain't. Cause my grind ain't the same as when I started this game. We learn to garnish your fame. When you see snakes get blessings and damage your faith. Make you wanna take a Smith and West and run in their place. So when I grind, it's like I'm running in place. Like I'm running a race. I persevere, the heavens watching my face. Till them pallbearers play judge and close my case. Till the firstborn graduate, son get his own place. I came in a game and outcast, made my own place. Little mom, no fans, no deal and no plan. No props, no highly rated reviews. A man like follow, plus I paid my dues. And can another rapper fill my shoes, y'all? Still I'm trying to get y'all stamp of approval. It's funny to me. Yes, and there you have it in a nutshell. Allow me to discuss the origin of the title of this project, Stamps of Approval. You see, it's all about building. It's all about building your own legacy, constructing your own movement, building your own business. But see, in order to move ahead on either one of these three things, you gotta have a cosign for somebody. You gotta have somebody stamp of approval, whether it be your loan officer, a critic, or a fan. Somebody gotta give you that nod factor in order for you to move to the next level. If anybody try to tell you different, blind their ass off. I'ma put it out there. First you gotta dress like a wolf in sheep's clothing. After you reel them in, then you go against the grain on niggas. Stamps of approval, y'all.
All right. Hey, that man's incredible, man. Yo, y'all got him at y'all access, man. Yo, give it up for Jah, man. He's incredible, man. Like, for real. This whole event right here for me is full circle, man, with my brother, man. Like, he got him a platform. He brought his brother back, later on to be on the panel, and I'm forever grateful for that, man.
That's love, bro. When I first came to North Carolina,